I was there for the dawn and the birth of the video game console. So I was very familiar with Sonic, and I know that at the time it was like a Sega versus Nintendo thing, and Mario versus Sonic, and so yeah, I spent a long time playing the game, and then my kids, another generation, spent many hours playing the game. I'm not as familiar with it as some, but definitely knew the character, and definitely had some, you know, some good amount of hours playing Sonic when I was younger. And it's a testament to its to the character and the game, and I think it's going to go down in history as one of the greatest video games ever created, and how long it's been around and how popular it's been for so long. So it's cool to see it finally make its way to the big screen. I think the story we're telling is a really cool one because it takes this iconic video game character and puts him into a real world, puts him here on Earth with us. And there's elements of Superman in there. There's you know, this not an outcast, but this character who is in an alien land to him. This alien who's in an alien land, who is curious about humanity, curious about people and their lifestyles that they lead, but feels like he has a secret, or feels that this world is, you know, or he's too much for this world, or he has to kind of be invisible, you know, to them, because it would be too much for them. There's a really nice element of, you know, this superhero, I guess, if you will, living in the shadows, observing in a very kind of pure and sweet way, and innocent way. And the audience getting to watch Sonic feel like he's growing ties with these people, and there's relationships forming that aren't necessarily reciprocal. So there's a real childlike innocence to Sonic in this movie, and it's fun to watch him observe the townspeople. Yeah, I think Tom is, at his core, a very good guy. He does the right thing, and he believes he's got a good sort of sweet moral code, and he's got a great relationship with his wife. He lives in a really small town, and I think there's a curiosity that lies within him that takes him outside of Green Hills in his mind and in his endeavors. He has a great affection and love for the people of the town that he protects, the people that he helps get their trucks stuck out of the mud and, you know, cleaning out their gutters. You know, he's a cop. He's a small town cop who wants more. He wants to mean more. He wants to challenge himself more. And while it's sort of bittersweet, the idea of having to leave this small town and his family for so long, you know, it's something he feels like he has to do, to, you know, do a little soul searching and find out who he really is. Sonic comes along, and Tom is, you know, in the middle of this point in his life where he's looking for meaning and purpose, and someone to really help, and a life to save. And yes, he's like this little blue alien hedgehog, so it takes him a second to kind of get his mind wrapped around that. But there's something about Sonic that he feels like he has to take care of him. I think you start to see Tom fulfilling his destiny, or whatever his goal was he wanted to achieve, kind of involuntarily and by accident. That this little blue creature kind of comes into his life and gives him purpose. He's definitely one of those guys who will come in and you know, destroy it first and then learn about it later. So he's got his own sort of maniacal goals, and the main one being to find this alien and capture it and either destroy it or hold it prisoner and learn about it. But I think he wants to pull the trigger first and then ask questions later. So there's a real sense of peril, there's a real sense of dread that he carries with it. But there's a delicious badness to him that's kind of fun. It really makes it fun to watch. And But yeah, he's out to find Sonic and take him down at whatever cost. I know you're supposed to say in these things that working with this person is like a dream and that's your hero. He really is one of the actors that I looked up to the most growing up in this business, and even before that, his stand-up. He's a hero of mine, and the one saying that he has. They say don't meet your heroes, and this one, like, no. I'm glad I got to meet my hero. It is a joy to be on the receiving end of all of Jim's antics, all the performance stuff that he comes up with on set. To be looking at him in the eye when he's shouting at you, spitting in your face, 10 different lines, 10 different ways, and throwing himself on the floor. It's vintage Jim Carrey, and it's such a joy to watch. It's fun to see him have fun. It's fun to see him dive into something and just let loose again. And it's a perfect character for him. It's like you hire Jim Carrey to come on and be Robotnik because you want all those things that made him who he is, you know. So it's a real pleasure to get to see him kind of take the stage again and dive right in with reckless abandon. So it's been fun, and we kind of workshop the scenes sometimes. We do it as written, and we'll talk about other lines that we could maybe say and improv here and there, and it's great how reciprocal he is. Like, okay, is he gonna hate me? Is he gonna think all my ideas are stupid? And you come up with like one good idea, and he's like, yes, okay, you're on my team. Let's play. So it allows you to kind of immerse yourself in the scene a lot more than you normally would, because you're just hyper-focused on playing with Jim and getting in the sandbox and having a good time. And he has a great kind of childlike element of fun to him that just, you know, he just basically takes your hand and just pulls you in there with him. And so it's a real, I leave the set every day after working with Jim with a big grin on my face. She wants him to be happy. She doesn't want him to want for, you know, or to regret not making that decision. And so she's there to support him, and he would be there for her if she was wanting to do the same thing. So it's a real sweet dynamic. And Tika brings this real warmth and radiance to the role. You know, you can hear her laugh a mile away when she steps on set. And she's just always smiling, and I don't know, it's a couple that you root for, a couple that you go, you know, what are those memes where like, find somebody who smiles at you like Tika smiles at James. Ben is, you know, he's one of our great comedians that are out there, great writers too. I'll text him, I'm like, hey, what would you think you would say if I said this? Or what if, you know, what would be a good response from me if you say this? And he'd kind of help, you know. So he's a good one. He's a funny one. I think he's a great actor to bring a very modern sense of humor to the character. You know, Sonic should feel like he's about 13, 14 years old. And there's a great childlike quality to Ben as well, where he can definitely tap into that 13, 14-year-old version of himself and sort of bring that to Sonic. And in a very human way. Jeff has a real specific, clear vision of what he wants for this movie, and you just want to climb into his head and be in his world in this, and contribute to it in a fun way. And so that kind of what's the word? Collaboration. That kind of collaboration is rare, and it's what every actor wants. So Jeff will come over with a grin on his face, and I can already tell he's going to go, how do we make this better? What else can we say here? You know, and that's not a knock to the writers of the script. The script is in great shape, but he's just like, the more stuff we get to play with in the editing room, the better. So, you know, what you don't want an actor to feel like is nervous about trying something. And Jeff provides this really wonderful safety net and an environment where we can all come in and play and have a good time. He recognizes that audiences like to see people having a good time. they want to see actors on the screen enjoying themselves playing these roles. So there's a real warmth to Jeff. There's a real irreverent sense of humor that I think is going to be a fun thing to see how it comes out in the film. There's a real statement of welcoming spirits and souls and individuals, even if they're very different than what we are, what we're used to seeing. And obviously this isn't a huge message movie by any means, but there's a real sweetness to and innocence to to Sonic and what he represents, and I think he represents the child in all of us, and yeah, it's nice to, Tom's purpose that he's looking for in his mind exists in San Francisco, being a cop in a real big city and not a small town. He finds his purpose in being a friend to this creature that maybe a lot of other people would be scared of and want to do away with. I don't know. I think it says a lot about Tom's character, and it says a lot about Sonic's character, that there's a real soul to him, that he wants to belong. That's a big theme in the movie. It's just like wanting to belong, wanting a family, wanting to be accepted for who you are, no matter what you look like or sound like or where you come from. And I think it feels good to be part of a movie that does make that statement, even if it does so in a fun way. I think it's just one of those movies that everyone's going to enjoy. I mean, the kids are going to enjoy it because you got this fun, sweet, funny little animated character that's a legend icon in the video game world come to life, and I think the parents will be like, okay, that movie is a lot smarter than that it had to be, right? Like the humor is sharper, it's more contemporary, the action is bigger than your normal kind of kid movies. So it's like we're bridging this gap between your sort of big superhero movies and your animated kids movies, and sort of fusing them together so you get the best of both worlds. And I think that'll be a fun ride for everybody.